Hi guys, I think I see Lauren and Patricia there. Can you let me know if you can hear me by typing into the chat box, please? Yay, that's wonderful news. Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right, I'm going to turn off my video and hang out for a minute while we wait for the actual start. So we'll be back at noon in just a sec. Oh wait, I forgot to ask, can you also see me? Okay, good. Okay, good. Technology is scary sometimes. Okay, cool. Hi, everyone. It's good to see so many of you here on time, which I really appreciate. I just wanted to say hello, and I'm just gonna wait probably another 1 or 2 minutes to really get started while a few more folks arrive. And then just in case a couple of you can't hear me, I'm gonna just type a sound check message in the chat. So if you can't see or hear me, check your sound and your tech, and hopefully we can figure it out. I'm going to turn off my video for a second, then we'll be back in a minute. All right, everybody, here we go. I am so excited to be with you all for today's session. I'm really excited for this lively group we already have here today. So I'm going to kick us off. So today's session is called Talking to Humans, and it's a simple approach to customer research in a time of crisis. So let's get going. Before we dive in, I'm going to introduce myself a little bit for those of you who I don't know, which I'm so glad to know, so many of you. I'm Becca, and I'm the founder and CEO of Uppercase Industries, which is a consumer insights and marketing strategy company. And so what we do is we guide clients through a simple insights gathering process to really help them cultivate an intimate knowledge of their customers in a short amount of time. And then we use what we learn during that process to craft strategies that really work. We like to think we're awesome at what we do because we're really just driven by a genuine desire to understand human beings and really get at the root of what makes people tick. We also really happen to like helping small businesses do the awesome things that they're doing a little bit better. So first, a little bit of housekeeping. I'd really like all of you guys to take a second to really tune in. So either flip your phone over so you can't see all your text messages, or even go stash it in the next room. Close your extra tabs, grab a notebook and a pen that works. Also, in terms of just some Zoom orientation, we'll be using the chat function a lot today. So make sure that you have that accessible and that window is open for you, and feel free to go ahead and type things in. Thank you. Hi, Sass. That lets me know that there are real people on the other side of this, because you guys can see me, but I can't see you, unfortunately. And then also go ahead and grab a notebook and a pen, because we are going to be doing some work today. And like I said, I will be asking you questions throughout. So please feel free to add anything as we go along. To get us started, I would love for everybody here to just go ahead and introduce yourself as much as you're comfortable with, where you're logging in from, what you're hoping to learn, and maybe what business or industry you're in. It's just helpful to know who we have on there. I'll give you a second to do that. And then while you guys are all sharing about yourself, I'm watching the chat box, so make sure you go do that. So I would really be remiss as somebody who is teaching and leading other people in a process that's all about getting to know your audience if I didn't really acknowledge you all being my audience today and what we're all going through right now. So I just wanted to take a sec to talk about, obviously, we are all stuck at home in a global pandemic, and that can be really, really hard. And I've had a lot of personally really low moments throughout this whole process, and I'm guessing you guys all have too. And that is very valid and definitely something that we all have to grapple with in our own ways. Personally, to be able to like find any forward motion in my business, I had to literally climb to the top of a mountain and like take it out with some sweat and tears. And I just really want to acknowledge that and hold space for that if you guys are going through that and feeling those things really intensely. And I also really want to encourage us. I'm guessing you signed up for this session today because you are ready and you are in a place where you're ready to take action and find some positivity within yourself and within your business. And so that is what this space is going to be for today. And that is kind of the headspace I'm going to encourage you to find for the next 60 minutes. So some things that I have found really hopeful and encouraging right now, in addition to reading about all of you in the chat, thank you. We have folks from all over the country. We have Vermonters, San Francisco, New York. Woo-hoo. Amazing, cool. Just some hopeful things that I've been noticing across the board as small businesses that I think we can all keep in mind is that, and whether you are a business owner or you work internally at a business, because I think we have a little bit of both here today, the bullshit barriers are down. It is a good time to cut through the noise and really reach people with what they need, or to go to your boss or your colleagues or your team or your spouse if you're running a business together and say, listen, I really believe that we should do this and I think we should start doing it tomorrow. And that is an opportunity that does not always exist in the world of business, but it does right now. So I think we can find some excitement in that. There's also a really awesome and I think freeing permission to pivot. So, if you've been really focusing on one thing in your business, but now you're like, oh crap, I gotta like do it all in a different way. And I'm worried about people being confused or, they're not gonna understand why I'm doing this. You don't have to worry about that right now. So we really have permission to do things in a totally weird and wacky way. And our audience is gonna understand that and they're gonna appreciate that right now versus in the regular world, that's not really usually a smart way to go. You have to, bring people along with you and help them out. So for the next hour, I just want to put out there that we are living in a world of possibility. And as entrepreneurs and creative people, let's make it our job to bring that possibility to our audience and bring all of the ingenuity and passion that we have to the table. And that's my little pep talk. Hopefully that helps. So I also wanted to let you know that there's a little treat at the end of this. So for those of you who are able to make it through the whole presentation, you'll get a bonus at the end, and then also our Q&A is all the way at the end of the presentation. So stay with me as long as you can. So I want to dive in by talking about, what does the idea of customer research even really mean? Because I think it can mean a lot of different things for a lot of people. I like to really view it as an opportunity to invite your audience to the table and to acknowledge that this isn't just you preaching out to them. This is you running your business in collaboration with your customers. But I think sometimes customer insights and research and even just talking to your customers can feel really scary, but it's really the most important part of your business. And so what does that mean kind of in practice and when we get into the nitty-gritty? It's figuring out your own ways to invite those people to the table. It's figuring out how to get to know them and really understanding that role that your business plays in their lives. Right now, in the time of COVID-19, we can connect with our audiences to show that we're there for them, to support them. I got to say, there's one company that I really love that I haven't heard anything from them this whole time. And I'm sort of, as a customer, I'm a little worried about them. I'm like, what's going on? Are you okay? Are you going to be there when we all get through this on the other side? So, that's a really important reason why your customers care about you. They want to be hearing from you. So just check in with them and let them know what you're up to. Like I said a little earlier, it's a time to innovate and adapt to this new reality, and really, take a minute to plot a plan out of this crisis. What is your business? The world is going to look different than it did in 3 months from now than it did 3 months ago. So this is your opportunity to set your vision for that, and see how you're going to respond. I'm having a little trouble with my slides going forward here. Hang on a sec. Okay, there we go. Oops. Sorry. Okay, so I have to say, and I think I saw Glenn Young on here, who I went to business school with, so he'll know what I'm talking about. But when I first learned about what customer research is, I was like, okay, snooze fest. This is boring. I don't want to do surveys to people and get all of this data that's just about demographics and lists of ranking how much they care about things. I thought it was really boring. And it really took me getting away from that kind of Madison Avenue traditional research approach and getting out into the real world and understanding that, wow, customer research is actually not just about asking people to rank how satisfied they are with what you're doing. It's about understanding the why behind what they need from you. And the other thing that gets me excited about is just seeing how impactful this process is for businesses over and over again is really exciting and gets me fired up. So so what I often see in the Madison Avenue approach is really these sort of months-long research quests that often ask the wrong questions. They can have, and what's really even more, I think, terrible than that is that they often carry 5 to 6 figure price tags. These projects can be really expensive, and there tend to be surveys that sort of miss the human element. There's jargon cluttering everything up, and it sounds very, very corporate feeling. And then I think there's a real tendency in sort of the big corporate way of doing research to discount the value of real people. And so the approach and the philosophy that I use is really to ask, what information about my business and what my customers need do I need to bring my strategy to life and reach the next level of my business? So where are the holes and where are the gaps and how can I fill them in? We like to have real life conversations with people and really meet them where they are using, just regular old fashioned communication, talking on the phone or Zoom chats, but following a simple structure that really gets to the strategic root of what you need and gets you that data you need. It can be as simple as short 5 to 10 question surveys that you just spend an hour taking to write and send out. And then I also like to do customer research. We have so many tools and so many ways to reach people right in their hands with their smartphones by doing things like Instagram story questions that allow you to do a really cool thing, which is to gather intel on people, but also build community simultaneously. So I'm curious, are any of you all using your Instagram stories as a way to talk to your customers right now? And if you want to share that in the chat, I'd be really curious to hear. So I think it's really important that we, oh, Elizabeth says she is. That's great. Good job. Way to go. I can talk about that a little bit in the Q&A too, if you're not familiar with that process. But so I find real life examples really help to ground this type of thing. So this is an example of a project I led with a meal planning app, and they were really ready for the next phase, but the founders just kind of weren't sure which way to go. And that's a really great moment to start doing some research. Is if you feel like you're ready to level up and you're considering maybe an investment or a big campaign or adding team members, and you really want to make sure that you get the most ROI out of that investment by using the right strategy. And this company in particular was really a data savvy company. But interestingly enough, it turned out they were super out of touch with who they were selling to and even what they were actually selling. This is a theme I find again and again, that a lot of businesses, you think you know what you're selling because we're small business people. We see every sale come through. Either you get an alert on your phone or you're on your website tracking the orders on a day-to-day basis. So it can feel like you're really in touch with the mix of products that you're selling, but it's really important to zoom out and actually analyze that on a long sort of timeline, and you often can be surprised by the trends. So we started out with a simple analysis for this meal planning app to determine the type of meal people were planning. And it turned out the wide majority were paleo eaters versus the vegetarians and people with food allergies that the founders thought they were talking to. So to do that, we really just went through the sales data and categorized the sales. We came up with a few hypotheses for growth, and then we got to work interviewing a group of women in the core customers category to really identify new ways to connect with them. And as a result of taking the moment to do that, they were able to really prioritize and streamline their content. So now they could just focus on making amazing paleo recipes for these people versus all of the other, trying to serve people with diabetes and food allergies and vegans and all of those different things. They were able to streamline and really focus on their core. They identified new products and features to launch, and then they doubled their business within a year. So that's obviously a very powerful result that we all would probably want to have. So that's a great example of that. And so another thing you might be asking is, why do you really need customer research? I think the example we just talked about speaks to that a bit, but getting into this a little bit more deeply, something I hear a lot is that, I'm a business owner, I've taken time to know my brand values, and isn't that enough? And so here's how I like to see how that fits in. So your brand values and, really spending that time developing your mission, developing your look and feel and your logo, I see as playing really up in this circle here. Any opportunity to share things with a Venn diagram is one I will take. So I hope you guys like this. So this is your brand values and your truth. So I think it's, again, examples are really helpful. So let's say I'm a pizza restaurant and I want to I'm opening a pizza restaurant that's all about the most authentic Italian pizza, homemade mozzarella, DOC sauce, all of the bells and whistles. And that's who I am, and that's who I really believe in. So in terms of thinking about a business opportunity, I want to make sure I'm opening that pizza restaurant in a place that probably doesn't have 20 other pizza restaurants nearby, and also that has enough human beings living there that will actually go out to eat and enjoy the pizza. I don't want to do it in some small little town. So that's kind of the process of thinking through the business and the market opportunity. And where we are today is in this orange circle. And I see a question here from Julia, and I forgot to mention this at the beginning. This is being recorded, this whole webinar, and yes, the slides will be available at the end. So no need to screenshot like crazy, but I do take notes because that can help. But yes, I'll be emailing this later. So today we're really talking about this orange circle. This is the human need or challenge. So going back to the pizza example, this makes sure that the people that you are serving with your pizza restaurant actually care about this great Italian pizza that you're offering. And so this is the way that you create this overlap in the middle here, is figuring out which parts of the business that you're passionate about and which parts that they need really overlap. So I like to think, what if this pizza restaurant was opening up in, let's say, Chicago, where, not to stereotype, but let's say everybody wants only deep dish pizza in Chicago, and we're coming in with something that's not deep dish and it's totally new and exciting. So some ways that we might overlap these needs, maybe people in Chicago don't care about the fact that we're making our own mozzarella, but they might be a little bored of deep dish pizza. So that might be the right message to get out to them. So a lot of times we all as business owners just get so passionate, and we try to we almost end up preaching about what we care about. and not taking the time to think about what our customers care about. So that's the nuance here that I'm trying to kind of hammer home, because the mozzarella could be up here, and then we need to be in here, okay? So this is kind of going a little bit more deep into that piece. We can be just so close to our mission and product that it can kind of put blinders on and stop us from translating it into the everyday lives of our customers. So using the right data is really a key to shedding those blinders and making those smart decisions. And really that is important more than ever. Again, this is not about going to your customers and saying, hey guys, what do you need? They're going to say, I need, a list of X, Y, and Z. That list is helpful, but what's really helpful is the why they need it. And that's sort of like that famous Henry Ford quote where he says, if you would ask people what they needed for transportation in the early 1900s, they would have said, I need a faster horse. So he knew that the real why behind that was they wanted to get places faster. So he invented a way to get places faster. That's what we're talking about here with customer research. And so there is a plethora of big data available to us all right now. And one other trend that I see in the marketplace is people say, I have my Google Analytics, I have my Facebook Analytics. Can't I just understand my customer based on that? And won't that be enough? So, I mean, bravo and kudos to you if you are familiar and comfortable and checking in on that data. It's really important. And when I do work with clients, that's the first step, is really analyzing that data. But that type of data is the rear view mirror, right? That tells you what's been happening in the past. And it's super important. But the way I like to think about other customer data is looking into the future. Yeah, my slides are not cooperating here. There you go. So talking to human beings and understanding the why behind what they need is basically them telling you what they're going to need next. And I'm curious, a few of you said you have reached out on Instagram stories, but I'd love to hear from any of you who have reached out in other ways, maybe surveys, or actually just if you have a retail location, stopping people in the store and seeing how they're doing, and how did it go? So here's a great example of a company that had the wrong assumptions. And this is a really awesome thing that customer research can help you do, is test your hypotheses and really gut check your assumptions. So the Good Food Company was really targeting, they really wanted to sell to millennial moms, but their growth had stalled. And so they went out and asked, why are we having so much trouble reaching the generation that supposedly, grew up on the Michael Pollan book, Omnivore's Dilemma? They should know about good food and understand that it's important. So they really were assuming that families with young kids value health over all else, and therefore will just naturally want what we're selling. And then we actually went out and did some analysis of who the customer was. And it turned out to be they're selling to empty nesters. They were not selling to young families. This was for a wide variety of reasons that I don't need to go into right now, but it opened up an opportunity to really do a great job at serving this new audience. And it offered a starting point on how to bridge the gap with those millennials. So that's a really important learning that we got, because sometimes we want to be selling to a certain person and it's just not who's buying from us, and we have to be honest about that. So looking at the outcomes and results that we can expect when we do customer research, it really takes you from a place of guessing. And granted, we're all smart people here. You guys have started businesses or are actively working inside businesses. So when I say guessing, it's not like, you're throwing a dart at a dartboard. It's educated guessing, right? But it takes us from that place of guessing or educated guessing to really knowing. When you go through a customer research process, what I typically see is at the end, you see increased efficiency for you and your team. You can get to stop wasting some of that time spinning your wheels. You start meeting your goals for the next launch, or your campaign becomes, your metrics, reaching those metrics for your campaigns becomes easier. You increase your conversion rates, you feel more confident. And let's not forget, we all want to make more money. This helps you make more money. So that's a key takeaway that I see over and over again. And your customers really can become your best advocate and asset. So I just want to take a sec to hear from Shelby in the chat. She's saying, we ask people how they find us in the shop. It's so important to know where to advertise and who to advertise to. Yep, that's great. So, and then they're engaging with local residents, and then they have a different strategy for out of town. That's perfect. That's a great strategy to take. Thank you, Shelby. And so here's another case study talking about really how you can bring this type of research to life. And this goes back to the point I was making before about how, as business owners who are so passionate about what we do, it can almost give us blinders in a sense. This is a great example of that. And we really use this research to just totally break down those blinders and lead to success. Plus I got to interview people about baking, which was really fun. So this is a baking company, and they were really struggling to communicate their point of difference. They really believed and sort of scientifically had proven that they had the best products in the industry and the most reliable ones, but customers didn't know it, and that piece of the business was not resonating with people. So what we did was we went out and interviewed real life bakers and asked them what they wanted in their baking ingredients. So it turns out that all they needed to hear was that it would be delicious every time, and they didn't care about the science behind it. The brand's point of difference was just too complicated for even the advanced bakers that we were talking to understand. So we just really went back to the drawing board and simplified. And one of my favorite things to take away from this process is to use the actual words that your customers tell you in the next marketing campaign, or in social media content, or maybe your headline or on your website. Literally use the words that the people tell you, because it turns out your customers have really good ideas, and we can take advantage of that and incorporate them back into our marketing. So we did that, and in the next campaign, the company was able to exceed their goals. And so thinking about how you can tackle this right now, I'm going to dive into that in a sec, but I want to just quickly kind of put a pin on that point that I just made of, how your customers can have amazing ideas that you can take advantage of. I think a real hurdle for business owners and even just leaders internally at organization can be that we feel like we have to have all of the answers. Like, hello, this is my business, I should know how to do it, and I shouldn't be turning to my customers to have the answers. But frankly, that's just not how the human brain works. We are creatures of collaboration, and when we collaborate, things get better, and sort of it's like a rising tide lifts all boats scenario. So that's another issue that this process really helps to solve. And so you might be wondering, how can I tackle this right now? So this is the part we're going to get to work and do a little exercise. So I'm going to take you through an example of a process I just went through with the lovely Billie Jean Vintage, with Megan from Billie Jean Vintage, who's here today. I'm really excited to share what we were able to come up with. And as we go through this, if you have a notebook, I want you to kind of think about this in the context of your own business and think of any questions you have. Maybe we can go in deeper in the Q&A. So first step is hypothesis formation. So right now what we did, and this is something I'm recommending to everyone I know, all my clients, and taking them through this process. Right now, especially in the time of pandemic, we want to ask 3 questions. So first is, what's changed? And so for Megan, who owns Billie Jean Vintage, which is a fabulous vintage store here in Burlington, Vermont, you should all go visit and shop from there. I have lots of their clothes, and Megan's amazing to work with, and she's very passionate. So what this is just a pretty big picture change. Sorry if you hear some kids in the background. I don't know about you guys, but my kids are home. And Sometimes they make noise. This is real life. So we asked what's changed. So a big change is that the world is working at home. They're not and so that leads into question number 2 is what new needs or challenges do my customers have right now? So people are not working in offices or going out to dinner. And so the need for dress up clothes is drastically down, and it's just a jammies all day situation. And so that, as you might imagine, for a retail clothing store that mostly sells dress up outfits, I mean, lots of everyday stuff too, but a majority of it is sort of fancy dresses to wear out and look fabulous. This is, you could really view this as like a pretty devastating change for this business. But what we were able to do with this process is be creative and figure out and see an opportunity for us. So one thing we accomplished by asking, okay, Megan said, how can I help with given this scenario? How am I uniquely qualified to do it? So we decided that we would try to really demonstrate how comfy vintage clothes are. They're already worn in. And so, they can be really comfy to lounge around the house in. And we realized that Megan is qualified to do this because she really has this encyclopedic knowledge on the topic, a closet full of vintage sweats that she can sell, and a never-ending passion to help people find clothes that they really love. So then moving on to the next one. Oops. Sorry, guys. Here we go. So step 2 is really, like I said, it's great to form your own hypotheses and make your educated guess, but it's really important to then go out to your people and validate that and refine. So we went and talked. There's a few ways that you can do this. Get out there, find a trusted friend who's maybe also a business owner or a consultant like myself, and get to work with them, doing some brainstorming, put together a survey and email it out, or go back to those Instagram story questions. So we put together some story questions for Megan on her Instagram channel and asked, things like, what are your favorite clothes to wear these days? What do you want more of in your wardrobe? And what is your biggest challenge in getting dressed these days? And I always love to ask that question and framing it up in that way of what is your biggest challenge, sort of, and then insert your industry, because it really gets to that why behind what people are doing. So what we learned is really that comfort is king, and that was kind of something we expected to learn. And then we were also reminded that clothes are really more about more than what's on their bodies. The word comfort is literally, yes, being comfortable in your clothes, but in this time when so many people are dealing with so much, having a comfy outfit to wear or something that makes them feel a little fabulous really helps them emotionally as well, which is really important. So then really the next step is translating that into action. And I just love this. I mean, do you see these loungewears? Who would not want to roll out of bed in a little negligee like this? I mean, raise his hand here. So what we did was really created content that was specific to that moment. Yeah, Sass raised his hand. Thank you. We created content, or Megan created content that was really specific to the moment and using the words that the people actually gave in that story. We were able to provide a solution to their emotional and practical needs. And then we also incorporated their ideas back to that concept of your customers have good ideas. So in addition, she was already promoting like vintage sweatshirts, and now the weather is warming up a little bit, although it did snow today in Vermont. Hello, that's crazy. She incorporated their ideas and added some content on t-shirts in addition to the sweats. So hey, look at that, it worked. This is the caption from the previous picture. Pale pink has sold, and I'm not sure, Megan, maybe you've even sold more of those from now. So we're upping the PJ game with some vintage loungewear, which is awesome. We all need more sales right now, right? So in addition to the sales going up, the content creation has really become so much easier, and Megan is less stressed because she's focused and she kind of has a way in to start thinking about this stuff. And she doesn't feel smarmy and salesy because she has figured out how to connect with people and provide value to their life. So clap hands for Megan. And so now that we've kind of dived into Megan's story a little bit as a business owner, I think it's really a good idea to shift and think about your own story as a business person. So there are so many reasons you guys might have come to this webinar today to learn. You might be sort of tired of relying on your gut instincts and educated guesses and are really ready to get to work serving your customers. And maybe your business has been kind of an unexpected success. Like I said, it is hard for a lot of people out there, but there are some businesses that are still doing really well right now. And so maybe you're ready to use this time as a time to step back and find some efficiency and add some structure to your marketing. Or on the other side of that, you might be worried about the impacts of COVID-19 and ready to take action to make sure you make it out of this thing alive. And perhaps you have a sneaky feeling that there's potential for more, but you just know you need the support to get there. And maybe you're one of the folks that realize your customers already have the gold nuggets to share, but you're nervous about reaching out to them and feel funny doing it and just kind of need a step-by-step system. So I am excited and ready to help with all of those things and have a lot of fun ways that we can do that, whether it's the system that we just went over or what I'm about to share with you. So question for all, would you like some hands-on access to so we have this proven step-by-step process that it helps uncover insights from your customers, and you get to be guided by a team of humans to help you get there. Share about your thoughts in the chat box. So something I'm really excited to share with you all is the program. It's called Unlocking Your Audience. And this is a 6-week customer research program that really helps level up your business. And this is something I've been working on for a while and taken several clients through it really successfully. And now it's adapted for the specific challenges of COVID-19. Shout out to Amelia, who I know is here today, who I've been talking with a lot about this lately. So thanks, guys. Looks like you're interested, and I'm excited for you to have access to this. So this is a 6-week marketing research program that's really designed to level up your business. And the way that it works is that you might need, you might think, oh God, 6 weeks, like my life looked so different 6 weeks ago than it does right now. So maybe that feels like a long time, but I think it's really important to mention that you get tangible, actionable insights and after each of the 5 steps and after each session that we have together, which is really important. And also for me, really fun to come back and see what you've done with it in between our meetings. So this is the beautiful Megan from Billie Jean Vintage and what she had to say after going through this program. So it makes finding these new growth opportunities feel fun, exciting, and easy. This gets you past that like scared feeling and the awkwardness and allows you to be free to implement improvements quickly and find results really fast. And this is my friend Emily from Real Plans, which is the meal planning app. I'm not going to read this whole thing because it's long and it makes me blush because it's very nice. But what we did with Real Plans was really help them dive in and develop a core customer profile that fueled the growth of their business for years. And their profitability and revenue grew exponentially and continues today. So that was a really great example of someone finding success with this program. And the way that it works is that it's a 5-step approach. So this is the exact system I've been using for over a decade to bring clients clarity, efficiency, and the all-important financial growth. And the way we do it is by blending a phase of data analysis with the simple act of talking to real human beings. And by doing that, we get insights you can trust, knowledge that frees you to make important decisions with ease, and a marketing plan that unlocks growth. So kind of going through these 5 steps, how it works is that we take a step to prepare and really get up to speed get me and my team up to speed on your business and get you thinking about kind of what is the sort of big, hairy challenge that you're facing right now. This is doable at the brand level and sort of like your whole business plan, but I actually think it works better when you're thinking about like, okay, I have a launch coming up this summer and I want to nail it. And how do I need to do that? Then we get going and crunch the numbers. So this is sort of like what I was talking about with the real plans, where we went in and analyzed their sales, take a look at your Google Analytics, and use all of that important big data that we have access to. In that phase, we really also make a hypothesis about what we want to talk to the humans about. So that's important that that's not just like, this is not chatting on the phone with your best friend, right? This is a strategic, systematic process to, yes, talk to people in a very empathetic and intuitive way, but using the process that gets you what you need for your business. And then we use these two things, the step 2 and the step 3, and we put them together in step 4 to draw out the insights. So this is going to be that list of 3 to 5 key gold nuggets that you can use in your business to make growth happen. And then we use that to develop a marketing action plan, which is a step-by-step system for taking that strategy, which is sort of at this, taking the goal, which is at that top level. So that's what we figured out in part 1, what is our big picture goal here? Figuring out, using the insights, figuring out the strategy that gets us to the goal, and then layering in the actual steps that get us to the strategy. So, and I find those action steps are really the things that can be so overwhelming. Actually, Amelia and I were just talking about this yesterday, is, things like, okay, I think I should do SEO. I think I should do social media. And, is there kind of like a silver bullet that if I do the SEO right, my business will thrive? The answer is usually no. I'm sorry to break it to you, but what happens is you can get so in the weeds on those action items, which are really down here, that you get lost and it feels overwhelming. So what this process does in step 5 is sets you up with a clear goal, the clear strategy, and then yes, a list of actions. But the idea is you kind of work on one action at a time. And although the actions can change, the strategy piece stays the same, and so does the goal. So that's a key distinction. And so just to kind of bring it back to what we were just talking about with Billie Jean Vintage, we really skimmed through steps 1 and 3 in that example. We kind of did some work to prepare and form a hypothesis, and then we went out to talk to people. And that's just a small piece of what Megan did for her business. But look how powerful that was. So, we took the time to assess and form that hypothesis and validate it, and already we were getting new sales and having success. So what you get in this program, I think it's really important to list out all the details. We do a pre-work questionnaire to define that business challenge. We do 4 60-minute video calls, 1 for each phase. In this day and age, it's really important to clarify that this is not an online course. This is me and you working together, and my team, in real life, in real time, one-on-one. We do a business assessment and a report, reviewing your metrics. We do survey training and give you sample questions designed to draw out insights and new ideas from your customers. We do an analysis of that survey to identify those actionable business steps. We do interview training to get you talking to real humans in real life. I will make you pick up the phone and talk to your customers, and you might not like it, but it's going to be good for you, I promise. Customer insights report, really putting the pieces together strategically of what we learn. And then we do a marketing strategy and action plan that translates those insights into the tactics that get you to reach your goals. And we also do 30 days of post-program support and review of materials. So if you're like, okay, I'm getting ready to do this campaign and I'm going to learn all of these things about my customers so I can rock my campaign. But you're like, I want to make sure, my campaign is great, even though, in this program, I won't be creating the campaign for you. I can review it and make suggestions afterwards. So, this just feels, when I take people through this process, it feels so awesome. And I just want you to take a second to think about how awesome it feels when you go from basing a plan on educated guesses to one that's based on facts. Having a business that's kind of like doing okay and we're getting along, to being just so energized by reaching your potential and exceeding your goals. You might be spending so much time getting dragged down by customers who complain all the time. And this process really frees you to prioritize the ones who are actually contributing the most to your business. and just, go from feeling exhausted by putting all that effort into launches that maybe fall flat to being focused and productive and able to give your team clear direction. And also to making more money. We'll go back to that important point. So, we really get rid of wondering what might have happened if you got in touch with your customers and take you to the time, of feeling like it's time to harness the power of your audience and reach the next level of your potential. And thank you, Lauren, for sharing that link in the chat box. If you are ready to enroll, the link is right there. And I do want to mention I have only 6 spots available right now. So just keep that in mind. These do fill up. So this program is really for you if you're an entrepreneur or, entrepreneur or a marketing leader that's just ready for a way to propel your business. It's for you if you want to adjust quickly, but with strategic intention to the crisis that is at hand. And you hate feeling like, this is for you, Marina, if you're still here. If you hate feeling like you're selling and you want customer interactions to come from a place of service, empathy, and value. So we take that sleazy feeling away and we reframe everything, all your customer interactions, so that it's really from a place of service. And it's also best for businesses that have been in operation for about 12 months or so with annual sales anywhere between 75K per year to 750K. We just need that track record of experience with your customers to have something to analyze in this program. It works great for both product or service businesses. So thinking about the investment here, again, back to the dollars, how much is this going to cost me? So here, yes, Marina, you know what I'm talking about. Marina and I did a lot of work on talking about the sales process, which was really effective for her, and I'm very proud. So if you wanted to hire me, you're a big company and you wanted to do a research project, custom made, all on your own, that typically costs between $15,000 and $50,000. That is a lot of money. And I am really passionate about, I was kind of talking about the Madison Avenue versus Main Street frameworks before. I believe so firmly that this should be a process that is available and affordable for smaller businesses and not just, the Fortune 500s of the world. So I've been able to come up with this program that it provides this step-by-step process and leads to equivalent results. And it's priced at $4,444. And today, for joining in this webinar and being awesome humans who I know are ready to take action, you have the opportunity to join for half that price, or $2,222. And in case I forget to say this, this price is lasting you. Obviously, some people need some time to think about things. Others are ready to just get in there and sign up now. But you have access to this price until Monday, this coming Monday, which I think is the 20th at midnight, in case you need some time, which is totally fine. And then you can also start for $620 today with the payment plan. You do save a bit when you pay in full. So this is back to my friend Marina. She says, I couldn't be happier with the results and it was extremely worth the financial investment. And so I do want to make a note. This is kind of, while I talk about the ROI, you can just take a look at the process again. It is completely reasonable to anticipate, if I will say with the caveat is if you already have a pretty solid foundation in terms of a customer base and a list to work with, it's reasonable to expect an ROI on this program by the time you finish it. So like I said, you're making progress the whole way along. And so I've seen people get to the end and have already paid for the program because of the changes that we've been able to make. It's really that powerful. So if you're ready to sign up, go ahead and click the link on the chat box to enroll. Go ahead and visit the landing page, and then you click the enroll button. Like I said, there's only 6 spots available. Next, you'll see this opportunity to choose your payment method. And then you'll get an email from me with next steps and ready to schedule a kickoff call. So I'm so excited for you guys to have this and to get started with some of you. This really works for people who are really sick of the trial and error and getting stuck in those internet rabbit holes of like, what the heck do I do next with my marketing and how do I put it all together? And then this really just allows you to skip that, do it quickly, do it more better, as I like to say, very grammatically correct, by taking advantage of the proven system we have. I just want to talk real quickly, Sass, this is you, if you're still here, about the case study being me. And this is just an example of why collaborating in your business can be so powerful. So, I think a lot of times as small business owners, we feel like we should be doing it all ourselves. I've said that a couple of times already. But we can kind of be hesitant to like take the leap and make the investment in something. And so I'm just sharing a personal story of I definitely do that too. So like I really get it. I have been wanting to do more teaching and more just getting in touch with other people and helping them out in my business versus working with some of the larger clients that I work with for a really long time, probably for almost a year. And I knew hosting a webinar would be a great way to do that, but I just kept putting it off and feeling nervous and didn't go well. And then I found a partner to help me with this process. And this is a cute little picture of me and Sass, who helped me make this gorgeous deck. And you know what happens? And when you find the right person to help you with it is that it starts to feel fun and you're excited about it. And you're actually like, you realize you're keeping your commitments and you're stopping putting it off all the time. And the other thing is, because I paid somebody to help me with this and I involved another human being who I respected, I had accountability and I actually did it. And so here we are talking today. So that's all just to say that it's worth it to invest in yourself, and collaboration can be super powerful. All right, we're very close to the Q&A part. If I can get my slides to work here. Oh, great. Okay, here we go. So I'm really excited to see you guys there. Again, let me put this link in the chat box. Thank you, Sass. I love you too. Joyous is right. I'm really excited to see you guys there. So let's see. I want to touch quickly on the bonus items that I promised you. So what that is going to be, you guys made it through. Most of you stayed the whole time. I'm psyched about that. The bonus is a survey and social template PDF that you'll be seeing in your inbox later this afternoon. And so that will be coming to you. So check your inbox. So what it's going to be is literally a list of survey questions that you can use and that I have used before to go out to your audience. And then also it's going to be formatted for both of more of a longer form survey and then for your Instagram stories to use. Hang on one second. So look for that in your inbox. And now I'm going to turn this off. I love PowerPoints, but sometimes they're distracting, and we are going to talk about your questions just as promised. So let's see. Oh my gosh, Jennifer just signed up. That's so exciting. I can't wait to get started working with you. All right, I have a few questions already. So Janina, I'm going to get to yours first. I see you there because you emailed me ahead of time, and then we'll kind of take some live. So everybody just take a question to a minute to put together any questions and add them to the chat or the Q&A function here. Either is fine. So Janina asks two questions. I'm going to actually start with your second question, which is, so Janina is a cake maker. Her cake business is called Red Poppy Cakery. It's awesome. It's based in Burlington, and she has been doing an amazing job of going live with like cake making demos and fun baking activities for kids these days. But she's wondering about how to make sure that she really keeps in touch with her local audience here in Vermont, because since she makes a physical product, which is birthday cakes, she wants to make sure she doesn't kind of over dilute her audience by reaching people who are outside. And I think how I would answer that question, and I mean, others feel free if you have any suggestion for Janina, go ahead and write it in the chat. My biggest feedback is I wouldn't worry too much about reaching people outside of your geographic area. I think that's kind of just a bonus and it's a nice thing. You know, you never know, maybe they'll be in Burlington someday and have a hosting an event or visiting a friend and they'll call you to make some kind of a baked good. Um, so first of all, your audience is going to sort of naturally be local to who you are if you are a brick and mortar style business, and it will continue to be as this pandemic goes on. So that's one thing. And then another great way to make sure you're reaching a local audience is to reach out to local business partners. So I happen to know that Janine is a really good networker. So maybe you expand your local audience by partnering with, maybe like a coffee expert to share tips about pairing pastries and coffee, or maybe like wine and cake kind of thing. And you kind of could co-host some type of a live event. I think that could be a really nice way to expand your audience while making sure that it's local. So that's Janina. Thank you. So let's see. Also, I totally respect everybody's time here. If you have a hard stop at 1, feel free to say bye-bye, but I do not. I'm happy to stay here and answer questions for really as long as you need. Elizabeth asks, how do you go from anecdotal feedback to something that is statistically significant? That is a great question. It really depends on your audience, but I would also, so, anytime I'm doing some kind of analysis, I usually like to make sure I have a sample size of at least 100 people. So if you're thinking about doing a survey and you do have a larger email list, what you can do is always make sure to include some kind of a incentive for people to fill out your survey, whether that's just like a $5 Amazon card or a gift certificate to your store. That really helps get your numbers up to get to that statistical significance point. But the other thing to keep in mind is that if you do have a smaller audience, even any feedback is still worth it, because what it does, if you're not at the point of statistical significance, what it still can do is give you directional feedback. So maybe you don't get the exact, maybe your audience, let's say if we're thinking like, okay, I want to know if my audience is mostly stay-at-home moms or working moms, for example. What you can get is, maybe you do a survey and you see it's like 30% stay-at-home moms and 70% working moms. So that, I think, is, even if you have a small sample size, that's good enough directional feedback to say, okay, now I'm going to focus on the working moms for a little while and develop content or do some marketing around them. And then that becomes a feedback loop. So that kind of gets you data that's still really good to use without being at a huge sample size. So Elizabeth, let me know if that helps you. I'm just going to kind of go down here. These are really great questions here. Let's see, Pauline, businesses in 2 years and revenue is closer to 50K. I actually do think that this process would work really well for you because, those are kind of just guardrails for you, Pauline. And if you've been in business for 2 years and have a track record and things are going along and maybe you've seen a little bit of growth already, then I would say it's a great time to stop and analyze your customers. So good for you for being up for that. I would love to work with you. So Patricia asks, what advice do you have for new businesses that don't have much in the way of existing or previous consumer data? I'm still gathering that initial base and sometimes feel like you're flying blind. So I would say that with this one, I encourage people to be a little bit, and this is great for Patricia because she owns an awesome art gallery, which is called Soapbox Gallery, also here in Vermont. Everybody check it out. But I know you're a creative person, so I was going to say, get creative with your definition of data, right? So you might not have this giant email list already, but what you do have is your day-to-day interactions. So we can figure it can be kind of like about applying a format or a formula in a systematic way to something that happens organically. So maybe you take some time at the end of each day to say, okay, who has visited the gallery today? Maybe you had 10 people come in and you just make some notes like, this person was from a corporate place trying to find decorations for their office. This person was visiting, looking for a gift for his wife. And then before you know it, if you do that for a week or two, you will have a profile of your customer. Also, reminder to, if you haven't started an email list for your business or started some sort of automatic way that you're collecting emails on people, start doing that now, because that's the easiest way to get quick feedback from your folks on who they are, by sending them surveys. But there's always a creative way to do it. And I'd be happy to talk to you more about that. Let's see, Maliki says, can you speak a little bit about brand identity and how it should translate into brand voice? I find it challenging to keep our tone consistent because sometimes I want to be using real talk. So Maliki is awesome and has a company called Magda Made, and they make they source artisan made products from Colombia and then ship them all over the country and help you decorate your house. So I think, Maliki, I think this is kind of going back to what we were talking about before in terms of going through that asking those 3 questions of how has the world changed, how have my audience's needs changed, and how can I help? And so when I go through those steps, usually the how can I help answer is naturally in an authentic, needs-based way, kind of comes out in a needs-based way. And so, you can think about all of the ways into talking with your customers in a way that is not sad. So basically, if you're listing the needs of your customers and you're then matching up how you can answer that need, it's just going to naturally be in a positive way. So that would be my advice there. All right, let's see what else. Marina says, we have been trying to use Instagram questions, but we get a lot of spam and random answers. I know, that is so annoying. So how can we get a better response rate? Oh, this is great. I have a tip for this. So a fun little hack to use on your Instagram stories is that you can answer your own question. So I always recommend you do this. If you're asking people about whatever it is, there's a chance that you sort of have like an ideal answer, or you think there would be an answer. You could answer this question for sure. So when you post your question, you go in and answer it yourself, and then you can share that as if it was just any stranger. So what that does is that it reminds people that they should eat, and then you can kind of post the same question again. So that helps more people see your question. And then it helps kind of give your question a longer life. It also helps you to address some key messages, because if you sort of do a little kind of a plant answer to your question, and then you sort of almost like answer your own question, you're getting some key messages out there. Another thing on Instagram questions that I think is really important to keep in mind is that a lot of Instagram stories, like if you're posting 10 and 20 tiles at once, that little question is going to get lost in the middle. So if you really want to up your response rate, like do a little, like a 3-tile story where it's like, hey guys, I have a great question for you. And then the next one is the question. And then the next one is like, don't forget to answer. We'll be responding individually. I think that might help you, Marina. Those are a few strategies. So let's see, Emily Painter says, we are starting a new e-commerce business, renting tabletop items for home dinners. I love that idea. While we wait for COVID to end, we're interested in feeling out who our customers would be. So you are trying to find customers to reach in the future. I love that. I mean, it sounds like you're off to the right start. A great way to keep building would be, again, looking for partners is one of my favorite kind of marketing shortcuts that I always recommend. So if you are, thinking about home dinners, you can look at influencer pages and start looking at, who is following them and who is, influencers who are doing sort of dinner party style things. You can work with other organizations. You know, maybe I'm sure you rent some of the tabletop items, but maybe you are not providing fresh flowers, for example. So you could work with a florist to figure out who their customers be. So I think identifying those parallel paths and those adjacent businesses is a really good way to start building up your consumer profile. The other thing that's important to do at this step, which is sort of which is kind of within the brand values circle that I talked about earlier, is to just brainstorm a mock consumer profile and keep that kind of in your mind as you go forward, and keep that as something that you're, you know, when you are writing your content, you have a specific person or maybe a couple different type of people that you're writing for. And then as time goes on, that can kind of almost translate into your hypothesis that you're testing against. So I hope that is helpful. And let's see, I see Amelia just signed up. I'm very excited to get going with you. That's amazing. You guys are awesome. All right, so does anyone, oh, we have more questions. I'm still here, okay. Thank you, Jennifer. I'm glad you got one of the 6 spots too. All right, Emily said, thank you, very helpful, awesome. Let me make sure I got all of these questions. There's one at the beginning. Okay. Yep. Okay, I think I got all of your questions. If you were waiting and I didn't, hurry up and put in the chat and I'll get to it now. Otherwise, I'm gonna start wrapping us up. So guys, this was amazing. I can't believe that so many of you showed up today and have hung around still to the end, and even longer. Thank you so much. And I'm excited to start working with a few of these, a few of your businesses. And please continue to send me marketing questions anytime. I always love talking about this, maybe to a fault. I can just talk. But I'd be happy to keep in touch. And you guys will be getting, like I said, 2 things in an email from me. So you'll get the bonus, the survey questions and answer, and survey questions and story prompts. You will be getting the recording to this webinar. All right. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best. Stay safe and healthy. And I'm so glad to see you today. Thank you, Marina. That's very nice. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Yay.